having coffee, going out for dinner, going to the pub, all of those sort of daily distractions, giving your energy to people just to go for chat, you know. No, no, it's got to be practical now. I've got to wise up and be practical.
All
Yeah.
right, good for you. In '79, you provided vocals from the Steve Howe album. I think it was "Look Over Your Shoulder." Man, that's another. You were moving up in the world, man. Jim
Yeah.
Crimson, Procol
Yeah.
Harum, Steve Howe. Wow.
I know. It's incredible, isn't it? Yeah, well, that all came about because I was friendly with the whole group of Yes, but mainly Alan White. Alan White, the drummer of Yes, was my dear, dear friend.
Yeah.
And he and his girlfriend Laurie and myself, well, I'd shared a flat with Alan before she came along. And of course, I was slightly in love. Well, I was in love with Alan. Everybody was. He was so handsome, so talented. And again, another humble person, just generous, kind, sweet, adorable, absolutely adorable. And then, of course, he introduced this. He came. Well, there was nothing between Alan and I. It was just like love from afar sort of thing. And he was really fond of me as well because I was from the north where he's from. I was, young and sweet and cute, and I used to make him laugh. And so we shared a flat together. And then he introduced me to this beautiful Californian called Rory Flynn. And then we all became friends and shared a flat for many years. And I used to do all the cooking because Rory didn't like to cook. So, but I wanted to learn to cook. So they used to go and buy. I remember Alan had this country house in Oxfordshire, and we'd drive down there for the weekends, and we'd always go to the butcher and buy a piece of roast beef, and I'd marinate it in herbs and cook it, and it was great. We had a fantastic time in those days. But there was one classic dish because of Steve Howe mainly, Yes decided to become vegetarian. So Alan became vegetarian as well. But I wasn't a vegetarian, and neither was Rory. But Rory was also American and didn't understand about British food. So she said, "Okay, Claire, Alan wants shepherd's pie for supper tonight when he's rehearsing. When he comes in, will you make a shepherd's pie?" And I said, yes. She said, well, half of it will have to be beef and the other half of it will have to be soya protein. I went, no problem. She said, the other thing is, I want it to be in a pie. I said, what do you mean? Because shepherd's pie is minced beef and carrots and onions with a layer of mashed potato on the top and some cheese. That's how we make it. And she went, no, I want pastry. I said, you don't have pastry in shepherd's pie. She said, well, why is it called pie then? I said, it's just the name for it. So I had to make a pastry base, and half of it had soya protein, and half of it had minced beef, and then cover the top with mashed potato. It was a very eccentric supper that night. It really was. But yes, it was because of my friendship with Alan that I knew the members of Yes, and I used to go to their parties and go to the gigs, and so when Steve made his solo album, Alan played drums, and I'm sure Alan suggested that I sing on it, and Steve said, "Yeah, that'd be a great idea." So I ended up singing "Look Over Your Shoulder." Yeah.
Wow.
Good song. Yeah.
Good for you. Then in the 80s, you end up working with Wishbone Ash in several albums, and Just Destined, I think, A Number the Grave and Bare Bones, and so on. Feel free to elaborate how was like to work with these people.
That was that was my first inclusion in a proper rock band, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been around rock musicians for all of my then professional life, but I became part of that band, and that was because my manager had gone to live in America to manage Tom Petty,
Yep.
and he left me behind in England. He didn't really want to take me. I was too much well, I wasn't successful. I wasn't making any money. Punk music had happened. And I think he just thought I was going to be a bit of a liability if he took me to America. He'd have to pay for me. And, I wasn't his girlfriend. And I might cause complications because of that. And he wanted to be free to manage Tom without any encumbrances. So he said, well, look, go and see John Sherry. He's a good manager. I know him. He's a decent guy. And so I did. I went to see John Sherry and he managed Wishbone Ash. So John offered to help me and he brought me into the band to do some backing vocals. And I ended up doing a bit of writing with them, mainly with Laurie Wisefield. We wrote a song together called Living Proof, which became one of their anthems for a while. And it's still one of their favorite tracks to perform. So the fans love it. And the fact that I co-wrote it with Laurie has meant that my name has always been attached to the band. Funny enough, the band was split about whether I should join or not because Andy Powell and Martin Turner were keen to have me because of the success of Fleetwood Mac, because Fleetwood Mac had reinvented themselves with two girl singers. Oh, and so they thought maybe including a girl singer in the band was a good idea. But Steve Upton and Laurie Wisefield wanted it to remain very much a male-sounding band. And the other genre that was coming through then was a heavy metal genre in rock music, and they preferred to go down that route and make it heavier rather than sweeter. And the fans were divided too. I think actually the fans weren't that keen on me, but they were keen on me from the point of view that I was the sexy little thing that danced around the stage and added that kind of new dynamic to the band. But the funny thing was I was dancing too much. I was dancing too much, and Steve Upton took me to one side after the gig and said, "Look, Claire, I don't know how to tell you this, but you move around too much on stage." He said, just stand still a bit more and sing, okay? Don't stop jiggling around so much. I was so shocked because the truth of the matter was the music was so amazing. I was there in front of a drum kit, bass, two guitars, blasting away.
Yeah.
What else am I going to do apart from dance? It was just amazing. I couldn't help myself to just stand there like a statue and just be sort of cool. I've never been a cool person. I'm not cool. I'm emotional. I've got Irish blood. We jig, we party, we have fun. We let ourselves get taken over. Oh, so no, I was absolutely downhearted by that. What? Calm down? Calm down? How can I calm down? Oh, it was so funny. So, that was, there was one night we were in Birmingham and 5 guys jumped on stage to kiss me. 5.
Wow.
5. And there were all these sort of roadies in the wings that just rushed on the stage and bundled them off. And I was absolutely glowing. I thought, this is fantastic. But in the audience was an American agent. And as soon as he saw this, he went, wow, Wishbone Ash have reinvented themselves. So he booked us for an American tour. Now, the problem was I had one song in the set, which was a song that I'd written for my brother called Danny Don't Go. And it was about me telling my younger brother, who was in the army, not to go and fight in Northern Ireland, which was happening. The army were in Northern Ireland. I didn't want him to go. He actually was there. And it was a controversial song. So we get to America and they dropped the song from the set. Not only that, I was having problems with the stage manager. Was, you know, a woman that was looking after the band, and she was very jealous of me. And she, you know, she put them on a pedestal, and I was just down there like a nothing. And she used to make me feel quite awkward and unappreciated. So I wasn't looking forward to touring with her. And then when we get to America, they've dropped my one solo from the set. They said, well, we can't do it, Claire. It's too controversial. I said, well, it's the only song I do. And besides, why not be controversial? You know, speak about the IRA and the British Army. It really was an anti-war song. It wasn't that controversial. It wasn't. It was that Danny, don't go to Ireland. If you go to Ireland, they'll teach you to kill. That was the refrain. It's a very deep song. I occasionally do still sing it. My youngest brother that I wrote it for, of course, he wants me to sing it every now and again. I'll sing that song you wrote for me, you know, and I have to sing it because, you know, for his sons, he's got a couple of sons. But no, then what happened was I was newly married. So I'm calling my husband saying, oh, you're not going to believe it. They've dropped my song. I don't have a solo anymore. And he said, right, I'm on the next plane. So he flew to New York. I'm in the hotel. We arrived. He said, I'm just going for a meeting with Steve Upton. So I went, okay. So half an hour later, he came back. He says, I punched him. Pack your bags, we're leaving. So I went, did he what? He said, I punched him. We got in a fight. And so I went, oh my goodness, but you were meant to smooth things over, not, and so that was it. I had to leave because, well, you know, you did what your husband, I did what my husband told me. I didn't really know what had happened, to be honest, but yeah, there'd been a fight and I was flying home and leaving the boys in the lurch. And there was I'm trying to think. So I think that was before the sound check for the gig that night in New Jersey somewhere. Oh, anyway, those 15 years I didn't speak to the band. They didn't speak to me for 15 years until it was their 30-year anniversary. And Andy Powell got in touch. He said, would you like to come along to our 30-year anniversary show? No, it wasn't quite that, was it? It was before then, but it was coming up to their 30 year, and they invited me. That's it. They had an Ash Fest, which was a festival of Wishbone Ash in Rotherham, and they invited me there to go along to that, and we patched it up. But 15 years is a long time yeah, I know, incredible. And I felt terrible about what I'd done because, yeah, I'd left them all in the lurch, and the agent too. You know, he booked the tour with me involved, and then I just wasn't there. Terrible, really, very unprofessional. The marriage didn't last, but the friendship with Wishbone Ash has.
All right, good for you.
Actually, I'm still friends with my ex-husband as well, so. I saw him yesterday. Took him a bottle of port for Christmas, a little present. So, you know, we're still friends. Yeah, I mean, it's not a good idea to make enemies of people. It's not a good idea. Sometimes it's inevitable. If somebody hurts you too deeply, you have to just say, right, that's it. That's it. And if they're not, you know, if they're people that you weren't that close to anyway. But yeah, Wishbone Ash, that was a really good part of my life.
Good
Great.
for you.
Yeah.
In 1980, you got a new single called, I think, The First Night in New York, which got favorable reviews. Feel free to elaborate on your forum group, The Transported, I believe it was, right? So feel free to elaborate on that as well.
Yes, yeah, The First Night in New York. Good song.
Oh yeah.
Good song. Although I did perform it on tour in England, and just for artistic license, this is my first night in New York, this is my first night in LA, second verse, then this is my first night in Berlin. So in this, there was, this is my first night in Berlin, I feel like song and sex and sin. My passions steadily rise and fall and climb right over Stalin's wall. Well, I got a letter from a priest or from a vicar. I think he wrote to the record label saying how disappointed he was to hear that I could possibly sing about sinning, and how disgusting that was. And I was very tongue in cheek in those days. But of course, I've gone back to the church now. You know, I'm a God botherer. That's what my friend calls me. That's his funny name for people who go back to church. And so I have been like this about singing the song about singing about. So I feel like song and sex and sin, because actually I don't want to sin anymore. I want to be a good girl now. So I don't really think I should sing that song anymore. How about that? Isn't that funny? Yeah, but yes, it was artistic license to ride with Berlin. Yeah.
We change over time, and the world change around us. So we need to adapt, accommodate, and that's the way of life, I suppose.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm closer to the grave. Of course, I want to go back to church. That's what people laugh about. Oh, I know why you've gone back to church, because you're old now. I mean, yes, exactly. I've learned a few things.
That's right.
I think, in your old age, you do look back and you think, oh, why did I do that? Oh, how could I have done that? Oh, golly. Yeah, thank goodness I've reached an age where I can look back and think, ooh, maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But, I mean, it's a life, isn't it? It's a life like any other, really. It's been a wild ride. It really has. Yeah, it's not over yet, Claudia. It's not over yet. It's not over yet either.
Come on, you have another 50 years to go, man.
Yeah.
You put out there.
Who knows?
You may fall in love again. I don't know.
Oh, I hope so. I'm falling in love already, darling. Yeah.
Right.
I'm big. Yeah. No. Yeah. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Yes.
Yeah, of course. As you get older, I suppose, all of us, right? So we need a person to grow old with and to talk to. It's important to have somebody. The kids leave the house, they go away, and you want to come home and somebody cook for you or pick you up from a doctor appointment, or buy you some flowers once in a while and be nice, and it's important.
Absolutely.
That's what human beings are all about, right? To be in.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. I mean, I would say that there are things about living alone that I do enjoy, but I realised that I do want to live with somebody, because until 2 years ago, my brother used to come and visit. One of my brothers who lived abroad used to come and spend a couple of months here in the summer with me, and I really enjoyed having him around. And it was that, he'd go and do the shopping, I'd do the cooking, he did the washing up, because he was fastidious about washing up, and I'm just casual, Oh, that'll do, He washes everything twice. So I went, fine, you do the washing up. That's great. And then we'd sit and we'd try and find a program that we both wanted to watch on TV together, which wasn't so easy. I told my friends, we ended up watching YouTube videos of canal boats, people that live on canal boats and go up and down the canals in England. And we watched 219 of them. Oh my goodness, that was funny. Yeah, it is. I love my brothers so much. They're so adorable. They're so adorable. Yeah. And so yes, I know it's easy to live with a man. Definitely.
Yeah. In 1981, you appeared in the John and Vangelis album, The Friend of Mr. Cairo.
Yeah.
And that's another big deal, man.
Yeah, it's true. It's another fantastic album, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing people. Vangelis, what a guy. Well, John Anderson, amazing writer, beautiful melodies. But meeting Vangelis was really something. I was touring with John. I was supporting John on tour. And the last night of the tour was at the Royal Albert Hall. And Vangelis came along to the gig. And afterwards, we all went out to dinner.
Wow.
And then we all went round to Vangelis' flat for a jam. Can you believe it? We all went to his apartment for a jam. And it was so incredible, to be there next to the piano. There's Vangelis playing the piano, and I'm singing along. I can't remember what we were singing to, but yeah, what a guy! What an amazing composer and magical person. Yeah, fantastic man.
Yeah, he died. He died recently, and
he did. Yes,
he did. Very famous guy. I wish I had known you at the time, so I would have hang around with you guys, for dinner, a beer or something.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get to know Vangelis any more than that. Although there was, funny, another connection was that I was invited by a piano player called Jean Roussel, who played with Cat Stevens. I was invited to meet Demis Roussos, who of course had worked with Vangelis in Aphrodite's Child.
That's
I
right.
went along to the studio to meet Demis Roussos, and then I ended up going to Paris to do some songwriting with John for Demis Roussos, which I don't think anything happened of that. But that was another Greek connection. I love Greece, actually, and I love the Greeks. They're really, really cool people. Yeah, I think Greece is a country I could live.
Really? Yeah, a lot of people say that. Never been there.
I like the climate and the music and the people and the food. Oh, well, France is amazing. The whole world is amazing.
Yeah.
I'll probably never really leave England though, because of my ties to my country. Who knows? And I don't really think it's wise to have too many buildings around the world that you've got to look after. It's just expensive, and it's adding another layer of worry to your life, isn't it? Really? No, you just need one little house. Yeah, that'll do.
Absolutely. In '83, you recorded a cover of the Ginny Pitney's, and 24 Hours from Tulsa. And feel free to elaborate. I think that didn't do that well on the radio, I think.
The Moon is a Powerful Lover did very well.
Yeah.
And I ended up working with a chap called Richard Niles.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. I think it was because he'd been working with Morrissey Mullen.
Correct.
And they were on my ex-husband's record label. So he did a version of 24 Hours from Tulsa, which I sang on, and we made a video of it, which was like meant to be like Dallas with a split screen. And the idea was that I was the girlfriend of a sugar daddy who was an oil baron, and I'd met some cowboy in a bar on the way to Tulsa, and ended up running away with him. But the video is really funny because I had to dance on one spot, because I suppose we spent the whole budget hiring a famous actor to be the sugar daddy. I can't remember his name now. He's a famous Irish actor. It was made in Ireland, the video. And then I didn't think that the cowboy that I'd run away with was handsome enough. And that's because we couldn't afford a budget for a handsome actor, so we had to have the producer. And so there were two producers, so we had one of the producers. And then I'd gone back to England, and they'd inserted a scene of where I'm meant to be going into the bedroom, but it wasn't me going into the bedroom. It was another girl, and her legs were fat. And I went, no, they've used a girl with fat legs instead of my lovely slender one. That's not fair. I remember being really, really upset with the video. Oh, no, my goodness me. The things that no, that's not me. How could they do that? Why couldn't they choose somebody that had some lovely legs? That poor girl. Her legs were fine, actually. They just weren't my legs. But that was funny. Yes, 24 Hours from Tulsa. I suppose I was trying to reinvent myself as pop. I don't know. Either way, it didn't work. And then punk. Punk had already happened, hadn't it?
Yeah.
That's right. Punk had already happened because my ex-husband had made his fortune during punk. I mean, he was their label was more or less a sort of punk label. But they discovered Gary Newman, and that made them a massive amount of money.
Yeah.
They were very successful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s, you reinvent yourself as a new age artist.
Yes.
You did a lot of commission work for the BBC, Channel 4, famous album called Touch Paper. Later on, by Voices, the BBC One. Feel free to elaborate on that.
Well, ex-husband Nick, had gone to a music business convention in New York, and while he was there, he discovered New Age music. Well, at the time, he had a label within the Beggars Banquet umbrella called Coda, and he was selling instrumental music, jazz. Morris Mullen was case in point, and various other artists. And he thought if he made a new age album, he might be able to promote the artists a little bit better. But he wanted something that was more of a flagship, more typically new age. And he didn't have any music already created. So he asked me if I would make a new age album. And I said, well, how do I do that? And he said, just use your voice. Just create an album just of your voice. And as a songwriter, I went, well, okay, I'll try. And I had to come up with a format. So I came up with the idea of making it around the 4 seasons. Excuse me. And then went into the studio. And what I'd done was I'd taken melody and layered up the voices, and also written it out in a way as I knew which bit was going where. Like, for instance, one of the most popular tracks is Leaf Fall, which I've discovered. But that's one of the most popular tracks on the Voices album. And it was making one voice go da, da, while the other one went da, da. And so it was like they were all counterpoint to each other. So I had to, write the music. So you record one note, and then you'd have that same voice doing another note further down on the tape, and then again later, and then you go into a different track and put another voice as the second note, and then you'd have another voice as the third note. So it was all counterpointing each other, and that wasn't the first track that I did. The first track that I did was Awaken Lark Rise. And I'll never forget going into the studio and the engineer saying to me, "This is fantastic." And I went, "No, don't be silly. No, it's not." And he went, "No, it's fantastic. It's unique. I've never heard anything like this before." And I went, "It's got no words in it." And he went, "No, I know, it's amazing." And I went, no, you're just saying that. And I carried on and made the album. It took 6 weeks to make the album, which was unheard of. I'd always taken months to do an album before, because it was all organising musicians and rehearsing and getting them in and da-da-da-da. So many other people were involved. This time, it was just all me. I just went in, laid all the tracks down. We got, what's that amazing device that captures your, well, I can't remember the name of it now, something electronic. And of course, samplers had just been invented. So I bought a sampler and I sampled my voice into it and used that as well. As we used it as texture, a sort of percussive texture. And I sampled the sound engineer's voice as well. And he actually got to sing on one of the tracks, which was called Moss, which was, I did 2 tracks, one with some German words in it and one with some French words in it, but the words were very bare. And the rest of the album was just pure vocal sound. There's no words at all. But it created quite a stir. And yeah, I mean, to this day, people are still using it. I still get calls and, messages. Can I use it on this? Can I put it on my film? Can I do this? Can I do that? And yeah, sure. Yeah. It was a wonderful project and brought me, a great deal of acclaim at the time. So it was the one thing that got me a serious amount of recognition, in a kind of artistic way, which had escaped me up till that point. And I think from then on, my music was taken a bit more seriously. And the follow-up album was Love in the Afternoon, and that was well received as well. But then the marriage started to go wrong, so after that I didn't make another album for some time. There was quite a long gap, actually. Yeah. I was recording in my own studio at home, but I didn't release anything. But, I was a mom, I was trying to hold my family together, trying to get over the breakup of my marriage, trying to survive, really. It wasn't an easy time, but, that's what life is like. It's the rough and tumble. It creates a character, that you have to go through, things that shape you and deepen you. So, just one of those things. But Voices was a fantastic project to get involved in. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. And I think you ended up collaborating in a bunch of music videos. I think they're called The Art on Landscape, shown in the 90s. Right. I think the 1890s.
Yeah.
It was very popular at the time in some channels in the UK. Channel 4, I think.
That's right. Yes, we were on. That was Nick's project. He had the idea of bringing classical music and instrumental music, putting it to landscape footage and streaming it digitally, and also it was on terrestrial television as well. So he was a bit ahead of his time, actually, because that's when he went into satellite television, and satellite dishes just weren't popular. Nobody really had them. He was just a bit too ahead of his time. So landscape did work, and it was a format without any adverts, so it had to be funded by subscribers, and that was tricky also. So the idea was great, but I think there's still, you can still get landscape videos, and they're still beautiful. And I've got some of the landscape CDs that I play in the car on my CD player, because I've got an old Honda, which I love, and I play CDs in that. But yeah, that was a very interesting time, the landscape series. Yeah.
When you are driving from whatever, point A to point B, you like to bring CDs into the car and listen to your own stuff and somebody else's music as well? Huh?
Yeah, I like to. At the moment, I'm listening to Cara Dillon and a bit of Chopin because I'm driving my grandson around a lot. He's 3, and I look after him 1 day a week. And from the time he was able to, well, 2, I suppose,
Yeah.
I put Chopin on for him, and I mean, it's wonderful, you know. Oh, it's very uplifting. But of course, I think it develops children's brains, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Classical music, because of the amount of notes, it's very mathematical about how, you know, the number of notes and the sequences. And so you're not listening to words really. So your brain is developing in a different way. But he's not really, I've got him a little guitar for Christmas. He's not really interested in music too much yet. He's just obsessive about cars,
Really?
as all little boys are. He's only 3.
Yeah.
But I hope I sincerely hope he learns to play the piano, or the guitar, or the drums, or the bass. His father plays bass.
Yeah.
And my daughter Susanna plays guitar, so hopefully he'll be a musician.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
having you around, you know, will help out a lot. You know.
Oh, Grandma,
ins and
do
outs of
that.
music business.
Yes. But yeah, you can't have a chocolate biscuit unless you can play an A.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I'll do. But I've just thought of that because he came round yesterday and he knows where the biscuits are, and he says he always takes my hand. He says I take my grandma's hand, and then and he takes me into the kitchen and he stands in front of where the biscuits are. Oh, terribly indulgent I am. I shouldn't give him chocolate biscuits.
No, that's all right. You gotta be happy, man. I mean, you gotta live your life like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah. No wonder he likes coming to Grandma's for the biscuit. But yeah, I'm going to say, right, no biscuits unless you can play an E.
That's right. Yeah. He needs to work for it, you know?
Yeah, he needs to work for it. That's right. He does. Yeah.
Since 2013, you have been a member of a jazz tribute band. Feel free to elaborate on that, how that came about.
Well, I mean, apparently Max Hunt said he'd invited me to join Fragile some years earlier, and I'd said no. But when he got in touch with me, I said yes this time because I had the time and the inclination. But the secret was, because I'd known Yes so well, I thought I knew the music. I didn't study Yes. I heard, I absorbed the music because I was around them, but I didn't sit and listen over and over again to the albums. When I came to learn it, oh my God, it was so difficult. What have I done? What have I done? I couldn't understand it. Oh, the time signatures were weird, and you know, oh, when do I come in? Oh, it was hard work, and the you know, the songs themselves, the lyrics often didn't make sense. And you know, when I write this, you know, I write in a sort of a linear way that there's a beginning and end, and it's a story a lot of the time. Or if it's not a story, you know, I think it was easier. But this music was complex. Wow. So, but I stuck at it. And I must admit, the challenge of it, when I eventually did the gig where I didn't make any mistakes, oh, the feeling was fantastic. But it took about 6 years. 6 years.
Wow.
Before I did a gig with them where I didn't make a mistake. And then as soon as I get good, Dirk, I've mastered it all, I've learned all the songs, Max moves to Germany. And then that was it. But we did decide to make some albums together. So I continued to work with Max and the rest of the band on the albums. We put out 2 albums, 2 prog albums, and it's been a very interesting project. I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's talk about your latest album. Feel free to elaborate. It was done during the pandemic. It's very good, actually. It's you're getting better with age.
I think I
don't know
am,
if I should
Claudia.
say
I
that,
think
but
I am.
you're
I'm like an old violin. Yes. I'm loving the work. I just, I get the ideas. Sitting, in the evening, I pick up the guitar, find a little tune pops into my head, or I'll just be watching TV and a tune will come in, and I'll go, right, where's the phone? Get the voice recorder, record the little snippet.
Yeah.
And when I'm ready to go into it, but I mean, like for instance, I took a train. I went to visit my daughter, and I took a train, and it was an hour and a half writing lyrics without any tune. Lovely pink person in pink walks out of the station and down to the park, ready to meet a nice man that she thinks will be ready to take her to somewhere to leave a sweet mark on her memory of pleasure. And things like this. He meets and he greets her and sweeps her, and she's not aware that somewhere he's broken, that he was forsaken and left with a token, not of his making or choosing, but left with the memory of losing, a clumsy sensation. And yes, though he sweeps her, he keeps up his guard. A lovely pink person has no recollection of loving being ever this hard, but as she comes closer, he relishes their time spent apart.
That's right. Wow.
And so that's on a train. And so I've got that I can go to, when I'm ready to make some music again. And the snippets of songs that are on my phone, there's tons of them. And I'll just go through them and go, that one's good. I want to develop that. And that one's nice. So yes, Claudia, I'm hitting a seam now. I'm hitting a seam of, because I've got the time, and the desire, which is fundamental. But first of all, I've got to write the book before I do any more music, because I've just got to get it done. It's like one of those things that you've given yourself to do. You've promised yourself you'll do it. You have to do it.
Well, you can write some of a book. Hopefully this interview one day will help you, because I'm revisiting your life. So I remember talking to Claudia about this, about that, or this, who will help you. But in terms of writing a book, you can have like the main ideas, right? And then hire like a ghost writer or somebody who can fill in the holes and then put it together.
I might get
easy
an
for me to
editor.
say, but I don't know how long that will take.
I think I'll get somebody to edit rather than write it.
Yeah.
Because I think I want the pleasure of it. I want the pleasure of writing it myself. I think it'll mean more. And, having it edited by somebody that cares about you and cares about how you come across, because you might not know yourself how you're coming across. You might think you're being very honest and deep, and it might come across that you're being very shallow. It might seem that you might be doing something that on the surface you're taking completely wholeheartedly and being honest about, but it will be taken badly by the person reading it. They'll think you're being, proud or something like that. So I will get somebody to edit it for sure. I did make a songbook with some anecdotes in it, and the experience was great. I made 75, and I've only got 2 left. I won't print any more. I'll make so that they're collector's pieces for people one day. but that was just about the last album, Over Dark Apples. And that was really, really good experience. But they're not cheap to make if you include other people. The person that did all the design work for me was a couple, and they offered to do it for nothing. But when I approached them and said, "Oh, I'd love to do another one," and they said, "Well, we do normally charge £250 a day. You do know that, don't you?" And we went, "Oh, I see. Oh, right, okay." So I did then have to, take myself in hand. So I won't do a songbook just yet, but I will do an autobiography because that won't cost me anything. It'll just be words and a few pictures, and eventually get that out. That's what I'm going to be doing.
I think you're going in next month, January, February. You're going to be doing some gigs around where you live, right?
Yes, I am. I've got 3 gigs booked in a hotel restaurant that's is about half an hour's drive away, and I did one and I loved it. The people were very, very quiet and very respectful and enjoyed my performance. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably. I'm not restaurant fare really because my songs are too tender to have people clattering and chatting and ignoring me. I won't do that. I have to have attention, because I'm a diva. Don't you? I am. So, I'm proud. So I don't just, but I've been invited to do it, and I like being invited to do things, and so I said yes, I'll do that. So I've got those little gigs, and then I'm going up north to do a gig in May, and that's more of a theatre club setting, ticketed, so that will be in May, and in between, I have been invited to sing in Japan.
Wow.
But unfortunately, I'm looking forward to that. Unfortunately, the agent said he doesn't want to book any tickets until the war in Ukraine is over. So I don't know when that's going to happen. Oh, dear me.
Hopefully one day will be over.
It will be over. And they'll agree on something that they could have agreed on months and months earlier whilst some people were still alive. It's just awful. It's awful that we have to live in a world where this is still going on. It's not fair. It's not fair to the world. I don't know whether people say about AI, whether AI would kill us all, or maybe AI would say, right, that's it, no more wars. We're not having any more wars. It's not practical. We need a peaceful world, and this guy here is corrupt, by the way, so we're not having him doing the negotiating. He's going to have to go to an island and live there out his days. We won't put him in prison. We'll bring, he can have the internet and blah, blah, blah. But you're not going to be doing any deals, mate, because you're corrupt. And we know that. I can tell because I've been programmed to look at all your micro, how we have all those micro things about us that give us true feelings away, and all these behavioral scientists now can look at slowed down footage of people and see if they're lying or not, that sort of thing. All those robots will know whether we're lying, won't they? So they'll say, no, this negotiation is over, you're lying, out you go. Won't that be funny? Maybe it'll be a better world with AI. But I don't want the surveillance that they're all saying that they're going to bring in, and that terrible ID thing where the government has everything about you, all your bank accounts, all your contacts, your whole life, your medical thing. And if you're a dissident and you disagree with them, shut down, like they did in Canada to the truckers. Oh my goodness me, wake up, people. We've got to be careful.
Yeah.
Haven't we, Claudia?
Well, the whole internet knows everything about all of us. I mean, everything we type and our picture, movement, emails. That's what Google works, trying to find somebody and the closest between two people, or trying to get a, it's too much information out there about ourselves. That's what we, with social media, Facebook, Instagram, and people post everything they ever done, which is good and it's bad.
Well, it's bad when for instance you're going for a job or you want to stand for Parliament and they say, oh, actually, in 15 years ago you tweeted that that you thought Jewish people were blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? That sort of thing with people, or you joined a heavy right-wing organisation for this, and you were a member of the Communist Party. All those things that they find out about you. I don't think people should be held to ransom for the stuff that they did in their past, though. That's stupid, because that's like saying that people don't change, and we do change. We grow. We become more intelligent. Right.
But there's some laws in Europe where I think they're called the right to be forgotten or something like that, where in the people in the 20s or 30s, you say this or they say that, or you broke up with a boyfriend like was left wing or right wing or this or whatever. But people, like you say, change over time, and you should have the right to, delete that email maybe, or delete that post or that Twitter or whatever it was, right? Here in the United States, there are more movement towards that, they're giving more freedom to people to, erase.
Well, there are people in the United States right now, because of Elon Musk, I bet they do wish that they could have deleted things that they've...
now with Elon Musk and tweaking over Twitter, I don't know. I don't use social media that much. I just... a little bit of posting for the interviews, and I upload the interview to the channel for people to enjoy music. But I try to keep
me too.
My private life as private for
it's just another. It becomes another thing that you feel that you have to do to promote yourself. Which,
unfortunately, unfortunately, that's the world that we live in, with cell phone and social media, people checking Facebook. People are addicted. There are 2 hours of Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or this or that, and I don't like to live in that world. I'm happy I don't live in that world. So
I don't live in that world either. I'd rather be doing things than talking about them. Except in this case, I definitely want to talk about my music, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that you've given me.
I'm grateful that you have given me the opportunity. 2 more questions. Looking back in your musical career in your life, what moment are special to you? Any regrets or things you have done differently?
Ooh, regrets. I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. No.
That's good. That's a good answer.
I don't think I do have any regrets. I regret that I couldn't keep my marriage going. I'm somebody that was a bit of a coward. My father was a very angry father, and so he made me a bit. I'm more like my mother. My mother was a bit more cowed, a bit more. She did well with him, but she didn't stand up to him a great deal. And I don't stand up to people very well. And I think I should have stood up to my ex-husband more. And I think if I had, we might be together. But because I didn't speak my mind. I'm one of these people, unfortunately, I know that about myself now, that in the past, when things have hurt me, or I've been angry about things, I've internalized them. I haven't said anything. I've just taken it. Because I think that's how I was brought up. My dad used to say, if you don't stop crying, I'll hit you. So you just go, oh, okay. So you keep your feelings in. And that's not right. I mean, I used to let my kids cry. If they were upset, they cried. If they were angry and being, silly and naughty, I just do what my mother used to do. I just bundle them out of the room, and they didn't want to be separate from me. If you say, no, you must go away from me because you're being outrageous, that's how I handled my kids.
Sure.
And then, you get a little, Mummy, I'm sorry. Can I come back in? I went, yeah, of course, me. But with my father, no, he made me keep my feelings in. And that was wrong because I should have let them out. I should have said more during my relationship with my ex-husband and with my ex-partner, I should have stood up for myself. I should have said when I was angry, said when I was upset,
Absolutely.
said when I was bound. Because otherwise, how can that person live with you? How can they learn to know what you like and you don't like? It was stupid of me. Yeah, stupid.
Yeah, understood. Feel free to elaborate of where the listeners and viewers of the interview can buy your music and
well, they can download it online. They can listen. They can go to YouTube and listen. They can purchase CDs from me through just message me through my website. They can buy this latest album from Cherry Red Records. They can buy vinyl from Renaissance Records, based in Arizona, if they like vinyl. Listen, enjoy your life. I hope that you can add my music to your collection, dear listeners. That would make me feel really, really good. It's nice to have spent this bit of time with you all.
Absolutely, and it was such a pleasure for me talking to you, and it was very nice talking to you. You are a very humble and nice person, a great musician. Came out of I don't know, maybe poor family, Catholic school, and then you looking back at your life now. If you go back and say, man, I have played with the best of the best. From that venue, small venues, big venues, and all the names that we mentioned during the interview, those are big names. So you should be very proud of yourself. And we all do stupid stuff, me included. And but you have a good life, and you have a successful career, play with the best bands in the world, and you have, I don't know, like 20 or 25 CDs out there. You did a lot of videos, and should be proud of yourself, man. You manage the well, you raise your kids on your own, and let's look back and be happy, man. Be happy. I'm happy every day, man. Be thankful and
absolutely. Absolutely. I am happy every day. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for waking up. Thank you, God.
And we are alive. We didn't die during COVID. Yes. So that's a blessing.
Yes, that's right.
All right, Josephine. Yeah. Claire Hamill. It was very nice talking to you, and I we'll be in touch very soon.
Great.
Thank you.
God bless.